Just outside of Sioux City, about 3 miles down past this junction of Highway 20 and 71, is where the big rig of David Schultz was found abandoned and on the side of the road. Local law enforcement searches early on turned up empty, and since Saturday, it's been a group of Sac County residents that have taken over the search. Now, you might be asking yourself, if you haven't been out to Hy-Vee yet, how far is my dollar going to stretch? Well, we already got that covered for you. We went inside with $25, and we were able to come away with a backpack, a binder, a ream of paper, and of course you got to write on the paper, so we got a thing of pens. You might think I'm done. No, sir. You got some erasers, because I'm sure you're going to trade some pens for pencils with some of your friends in the classroom. This could set up a child for the entire school year with just under $30. And if you are wanting to help the entire classroom, you can also pick up some of these bad boys, a thing of tissues, because I'm sure if you've been in the public school system, those brown paper towels that are your only other option, they haven't changed. They won't really help you with a runny nose. They'll just turn it into a bloody nose. So some of these are going to be crucial going into the school year, helping those teachers who usually have to buy their own supplies.
KTIV's Trett joins us live tonight from Okoboji. Connor, let's talk more about the winter weather and all the winter games underway. How's it going?
Well, Jess, it's going pretty well out here. I'd say the winter games are kicking off pretty well. It's been a little cold, but not super cold. In fact, as of recently, they've actually had to make changes to the games and activities because it hasn't been cold enough. I was actually talking with some people in charge, and as recently as 11 days ago, there were still some spots on the lake that weren't frozen all the way through. I was actually on the lake earlier today, and there were a few puddles in some areas. In some areas closer to the shore, you could actually stick your hand in the lake if you really wanted to. But they managed to get an ice covering thick enough in time for the games where some events can still happen on the lakes. Plenty of side-by-sides and snowmobiles were still out on the ice earlier today. The Chamber of Commerce and Arnold's Park staff are making sure that people stay safe out there.
We're really encouraging people to not have motor vehicles on the ice this year. We had a really weird and delayed freeze this year, very varying ice conditions around the lakes area. So if you're entering the ice, you're entering at your own risk, and we're just really discouraging motor vehicles right now. Where our events are held is enough ice for foot traffic.
And tomorrow there's going to be even more festivities. I checked, and there's like 6 pages worth of games and activities that are happening all around the Iowa Great Lakes. And if you've had a chance to be up here already, I'm sure you've seen the skyline absolutely littered with just nothing but kites. And I was actually able to get on the ice and check out the kites and talk with some of the people flying them. For years, the University of Okoboji Winter Games Kite Festival has filled the January sky and brought in flyers from all over the globe.
I come from Germany.
I'm from France.
New Zealand.
To kick off the U of O Winter Games. And these flyers turned down the chance to be in better weather to come fly over the weekend in Okoboji.
On the same day, we receive an invitation for Qatar, 30 degrees Celsius, and for Okoboji, and we say, forget Qatar, we go in Okoboji because it's an amazing experience, really.
It's our kite flying season in New Zealand at the moment, and so all the summer festivals are on, but I swapped summer for winter, came here instead.
This weekend, people in the Great Lakes can look up to the sky and see a lot of sea creatures, and there's a reason that so many kites are inspired by things underwater.
Animals that live under the ocean also have to be aerodynamic, although they're hydrodynamic, if you know what I mean, because they're in water, which lends itself to being a kite.
With a little bit more wind, we have to show up everything during the weekend, like dragons, like seahorses, starfish, and a lot of seafood design.
Unlike most events at the Winter Games, the kite shows aren't a competition, and flyers will help each other out to make the best experience they can.
American kite flyers are very nice because we are all in the same team. We have the same spirit of full up the sky.
The purpose really is just to make memories for people. Families come along, see the kites, spend some time with their kids, and never forget that day they went and saw the kites.
Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds has made a proposal to reform Iowa education that could see an overhaul of Iowa's AEA services. Now, AEAs provide specialized support for students with special needs with services like occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech and language pathology, among others. AEAs also provide professional learning for teachers with specialized instructors. Under Governor Reynolds' proposal, school districts could pursue contracts with private companies to hire specialists to meet those educational needs instead of AEAs.
The changes that she's making are overly drastic. They take the local relationships that we have to our schools and they move that to Des Moines. We don't think that an employee in Des Moines is going to be as responsive to somebody in Charter Oak or Rock Valley as we are, because we're right here.
AEA statewide oppose the changes, but what about the school districts that use the AEAs as a resource for students? I talked with superintendents with 2 Northwest Iowa districts to find out what they think about the governor's proposal. 2 Northwest Iowa school superintendents say area education agencies serve local school districts well.
Because I have a local AEA, I know I have good services available to our district out here in Remsen, Iowa. And I know people locally that will serve us. Why would we want to transfer those services to someone in Des Moines?
Obviously, most of the school districts are going to continue to go to the AEA to those services. I know Sergeant Bluff-Luton would.
Governor Kim Reynolds is pushing for an increased oversight and reform of the 9 AEAs in Iowa. So how did this system work before this new proposal? Well, it all starts at the tax dollars. Those go into the AEA funds that AEAs could then pull from when they need to provide services to schools. This new plan, however, puts a block right here and keeps the money in the district and then gives the district the option to hire a third-party provider for those same services to give to their schools. Now, this may look like a good idea on paper, or in this case, on a whiteboard, but for many rural schools around Northwest Iowa, this just isn't seen as a viable option.
The larger school districts, for example, could they afford to take their money and perhaps do their own thing? Because of their scale and their capacity, they may have the opportunity to do that. Smaller schools, the money that we receive isn't enough to do that.
We don't have a lot of administrative overhead here to begin with, so for us to try to find more providers and to form more consortiums is just going to add to the workload. And I think it's going to complicate things for parents, which for right now are fairly simple with the AEA system.
For now, most schools will most likely be opting to continue using AEAs. More changes could be on the way with Governor Reynolds' proposal. Lawmakers expect an amended bill to come out this week. Although it may have changed locations a few times since its founding in 1895, the mission of the Crittenton Center has always remained the same: to provide aid and services to kids in need in the Sioux City area. And pretty soon they're going to be able to expand on that mission by turning this grassy area here into 6 new tiny homes that'll be moved into by some of the kids in their care. This day was 18 months in the making. Monday afternoon, Crittenton Center board members broke ground on what will be new tiny homes for children in their care.
One of the things that we did a few years ago in our strategic plan is really look at how to better support youth that were going to be aging out of foster care when they turned 18, and recognizing that some of those youth were ending up homeless. And our board didn't like that, and our staff didn't like that, and definitely the kids didn't like that. And so we developed a plan to develop a tiny homes community here on our campus.
Once the plans and location were set, all that was left to do was fundraise. And Siouxland stepped up with hundreds of private donations for the project.
Primarily, it was just individuals coming forward and saying, you know what, it's not okay to have homeless children. It's not okay when you turn 18 to be on the street.
And during the planning process, the kids that'll be living in the homes got to have a hand in the design.
It speaks volumes to their not only just mental health, but when you move into a space, regardless of what it is, you want to add your personal touch to it. You want to walk in the door and be able to take that breath of relief and say, oh, this is my home.
I think most people are happy to see that there will be something for them. And the kids are happy. The kids that will be the first residents are very, very excited to move into their home.
Tiny homes with a big impact. In Sioux City, Connor Trett, KTIV News 4. Caden Schmidt spent over a year waiting for the Sioux City Community School District to hire a one-on-one nurse while his parents had to stay home and help him through Zoom classes. Those same classes were then not properly documented by the district, forcing him to repeat the 9th grade.
Well, when it comes to Caden, since he's in special education, he has an IEP. And IEPs go based off of progress monitoring or data collection instead of your traditional grades.
The state came back that they were glad that we did it, but it don't count. So now he has to retake the 9th grade over. And part of that was the district's failure in changing his IEP to reflect his goals for the Zoom classes.
After the Iowa Department of Education ruled in their favor and said the district had been in violation of his IEP, they then gave his parents the opportunity to seek monetary compensation for lost wages and other costs from the past year, and they decided to move on and submit a claim.
This has been going on for longer than a year, and realistically, if they would have done what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't be sitting in this position. Lots of opportunities for Justin and myself when it came to, job opportunities and things like that, that we had to turn down. And financially, in today's world, it's very difficult to keep afloat.
We outlined for them the costs and toll that this took on the family, from having Shanna out of work, not able to pursue her career, use her degree that she had just earned, changes in work that were required by Dustin, as well as the value of the nursing services that they had to provide to their son that the school was not providing.
And 10 days after that ruling was made, the Sioux City School District came back urging the Department of Education to deny any kind of compensation, saying in their response, quote, "The purpose of monetary reimbursement is not to compensate parents for costs the district potentially saved, but is simply to reimburse actual expenses parents may have incurred that the public agencies should have shouldered." And in response to the district, the Iowa Department of Education said, quote, "Granting the relief is reasonable given it merely requires the school to belatedly pay expenses that it should have paid all along and would have borne in the first instance had it developed a proper IEP," end quote. The Department of Education granted the family a year's worth of pay for a one-on-one nurse, awarding them just over $31,000. According to the Iowa Department of Education's ruling, the Sioux City School District will have until December 18th to either pay the family their due $31,000 or they could appeal the case to district court. We reached out to the Sioux City School District and they declined for an on-camera interview, but did provide a statement saying the district remains committed to providing services that allow our students the opportunity to achieve their highest potential. South Sioux City High School hosted an alumni soccer tournament this Labor Day weekend, where men and women who donned the Cardinals red and white back in their high school days got a chance to dust off the cleats and get back on the field. But there's a chance that none of them would even be here if it wasn't for one teacher who stepped up over 25 years ago. Marla Grier was a speech and language pathologist for South Sioux City Middle School and High School in the 1990s. She would also become the high school's first ever soccer coach.
In 1996, South Sioux City High School was going to offer a soccer program for the boys, and 2 weeks before the season was to start, nobody would coach it. So I said, oh, no, we have to have soccer. I'll coach. And we were off and kicking after that.
Grier would coach the Cardinals for 19 seasons, winning a state title in 2013 and becoming a role model to her players.
I was fresh here from California and I actually got in trouble. I got in a fight and she got me out of class. And she said, like, hey, I heard that you play soccer, you want to play? I said yes, and I joined practice that night. There were a lot of kids that were in trouble. There were a lot of kids that didn't have home support, parental support, so she decided to take that leadership role.
We had a lot of at-risk kids that needed to be involved in school that really weren't involved, and I was hoping soccer would be the thing that would suck them into school and keep them involved in school, and it worked.
And during the tournament, former players awarded her with a Lifetime Achievement Award for all of her work for the program over the years.
Just to honor her for what she's done in the community. And so all of the players here, we kind of came up with, okay, what would be a good award to give her? And we're just kind of throwing out different names. And they said, well, you know what? It's a Lifetime Achievement Award. With everything she's done, you know, she deserves to have a Lifetime Achievement Award. And that's what we went with, yeah.
Although she retired in 2015, Grier's legacy is still impacting high schoolers today. 5 of the 6 high schools in the Sioux City Metro have soccer teams coached by her former players.
It is so fun to go on a soccer field and see so many of my former players are out there coaching, or they're sitting there cheering their children on, and they're very involved, and that's, to me, worth $1 million.
In years past, we've been giving you RAGBRAI coverage from the perspective of spectators. But this year we decided for the 50th anniversary to do something a little different, a little special. We're going to give you the perspective of the riders. Today's ride started bright and early at 5 o'clock in the morning. After a quick dip of the tires in the Missouri River, it was off to Kingsley, but this route let the riders know right away that this was not going to be an easy ride.
About 10 miles into the trip. Just a PSA for anybody who says Iowa is flat. No, it's not.
And today's ride wasn't without its surprises. I even got to see a celebrity on the route.
Hi, Bigfoot. I'm a big fan.
He was just being shy. Didn't say anything back, but that's okay. Onward to Kingsley. Pulled in around 7:30 a.m. after about 2.5 hours of non-stop riding, where it was time to get a breakfast burrito and refill for the next leg.
Water bottles refilled just outside of Kingsley. Spirits, I say, are uncrushably high.
From Kingsley, it was 2 quick stops. First a 15-mile ride to Washta, then just 5 miles from Washta to Quimby. It was during these stops that people recognized me from KTIV. I even got a gift.
So we got to Washta, and a guy just comes up to me and hands me a free U of I headband. I mean, was I gonna do, not take it? I hold no allegiance to U of I or Iowa State, but I mean, I'll take free stuff.
And from Quimby, it was a 22-mile stretch to get into Storm Lake. And at 2 o'clock on the dot, I rolled in and completed the first day of RAGBRAI.
Listen, it's been a long day, so I figured I could just finish my report here from the hammock. Be sure to tune in 5, 6, and 10 o'clock for day 2 coverage of RAGBRAI. We're going from Storm Lake to Carroll. Reporting from Storm Lake, Connor Trett, KTIV News 4.